I like eating catfish too, but not that kind of catfish. But turkey is also this time of year we like to eat turkey. Mm-hmm. And
have you deep fried a turkey?
Personally, no. Mm-hmm. I've watched it done. I've prepped the turkey to help somebody do it, but I mean, it's a great way to crisp in the chicken. It's dangerous and it takes space and time, and you got to go outside in the cold and do it if the weather's not nice. So.
You can't leave it unattended.
Yeah, so it's there's a lot of variables. I like the
you don't do it inside
the
your
set
garage.
and forget methods are usually my kind of cooking.
That's why I want to run right in the wood smoker.
Yeah,
it's 30 minutes per pound, and you just run it, and then I'm going to leave it in there because I'm going away. The electric smoker just shuts off, and it cools down inside. It still cooks for a little bit longer, but it cools down inside the box, and all the juices stay in it because it stays in that. It cools down gradually.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the best way to do it, and it sounds like you're gonna have a fantastic product.
Yeah, I'm not
cross
doing
your fingers.
I'm not doing a full dinner. I am cooking a bird because they're 39 cents a pound, and you can really extend them. They go a long way. So I will be spatchcocking it again this year. I just love saying spatchcocking.
Yes, we know.
And after I strip the carcass of its protein, I am, of course, going to make a stock. But I'm thinking about actually roasting my mirepoix before putting in the stock. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, that's
Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose, though?
No, it makes the stock in the long run darker, so you don't have to. It's adding a color level.
The pan juices.
So yeah, it's kind of like faking the pan juices. A lot of times, if you roast the mirepoix, another thing that they do, like in this process of making like a turkey demi-glaze, you would roast the mirepoix and maybe even add a little tomato paste to the pan and let that get kind of black when it roasted up with the vegetables, and then you get a darker colored, more flavorful turkey stuff.
Now mine, I'm going to stuff it with, they say you can do apples and onions and maybe some sage. You put it inside the cavity when you're going to smoke it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about smoking it with onions, carrots, celery, so mirepoix inside the bird.
Yeah.
Get, cut all that stuff up and really kind of put it in there. And then maybe add some sage powder over the top just to give it...
definitely.
On top of the bird.
I mean, I would put some of that inside because as and maybe even a handful of ice cubes, because as that's going to keep that center cold as it's cooking longer, their steam is going to happen, and the mirepoix and whatever you put in there, the aromatics, if you put garlic and the herbs in there, that's going to kind of come up into the meat from the inside. Whereas the skin, although the smoker's not going to be hot to start, so it's not like you've seared it, so some of the flavor will permeate better in the smoker, but you're going to get more flavor from the inside out or stuff
underneath the skin. Well, that's why they say you should put stuff in it, yeah.
Yeah. I've done birds in the past with full of the lemons and sage and apples and onions. That's a nice, kind of holds the structure up and gives you that moisture from the inside and does give a nice flavor. But then I also usually put some zest and stuff underneath the skin along the meat of the breast is another nice way to flavor it when you're doing it that way.
So we've talked about several different ways of cooking your bird, what we might be doing with the turkey. What about being safe with the turkey? You want to hit a point or two at safe, proper
temperatures?
Well, just important things like in your kitchen
handling and cross-contamination.
Be careful in your kitchen with the raw turkey. Make sure that you've cleaned your area that you're going to work on really well, and that way, when you've done with working on the turkey, you can then clean the area again really well because the potential for foodborne illness from a raw poultry product is there. So you want to be safe, and then just making sure that everything that is cleaned up from the handling of the bird time, because that's usually I try and do the handling of the bird and clean up and then do my other stuff, even if it's before I cook. So that way that is cleaned up in the kitchen area. I think that's a good practice. And then when you're cooking the bird,
number one, avoid cross contamination.
In the basis sense of it, yes. Making sure you have a clean working area and then clean up again when you're done with the raw meat.
And then of course we need it to be fully cooked. You don't eat turkey rare.
No.
So is 165 the temp you want to remove it at?
That is the agreed upon safe food temp for killing food bacteria. So.
And at 165, I believe that there's going to be some continuing up to like maybe 170 or so.
Yeah, that'll continue. Especially you want to temp it in parts that are close to the bone, in the fattest parts of the meat.
Right between the wing and the breast, somewhere in there.
Right in there, going along the breastbone, because you kind of get into the bottom of the breast, and you'll get a good temperature in there.
But don't go up to the bone. I've been reading that. You don't want the probe to hit the bone because that can affect the actual temperature that you're reading.
That could, I guess, skew it. Yeah, I mean, if you do feel it hit the solid part. Just back it off a quarter, an eighth of an inch.
Back it off a little bit.
Another good spot is in the thickest part of the thigh. Going in if the bird is laying with the opening like it's a stuffed bird, you'll have the thigh kind of stick up. You can go into the thickest part of the thigh along the bone with your thermometer and check there.
Now I read that part, that is the part that takes the longest to cook.
Depending on how you,
meat, yeah.
I mean, it all depends on how you put it in the pan. I mean, I use different tricks that I cook. Those parts up higher, and they do cook faster. Cooking the bird upside down, putting the breast down is obviously going to change the dynamic. So there's a lot of little tricks that you can look on the internet and try to change the way that the bird cooks. It's pretty neat stuff. Very versatile bird roasting.
Just make sure the temperature is right.
That's
the important part.
Have a food thermometer when cooking turkeys, especially if you're cooking it whole. It's harder to check the inside. You can't just peek in there. So you really.
So the little ones they attach to most of the birds nowadays, those are okay?
Yeah, well they pop
up ones,
and in the breast meat. So that is a pretty good indicator that if that part is ready to pop up, and they set those I think at 180. So your bird might be a little dry, but at least it's 100% safe.
It's 100% done.
Yeah,
but the white meat is killed.
Well, that's the other thing why I'm cooking in the smoker in that long period of cool down time. It's going to continue to cook in there, and it'll stay juicy because it's staying inside the steam and things like that.
And leaving it in an unopened smoker, it's almost like hermetically sealed box, so it's perfectly fine to cool it down in there as long as you need to.
Yep.
Yeah. That's very cool.
All right. Popular sides this year. We always have the mashed potatoes and the green bean casserole.
Did you catch my Massabile segments last week?
I was out of town last week.
Yeah, we were
that's right. Yeah, you were waiting for Rocket. You were sleeping it off, waiting for after the first delay.
I saw the previous one with the pumpkin stuff. But we missed this last one.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. That was
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I did a really nice a turkey and pumpkin cranberry casserole as a side.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You used ground turkey.
I did use ground turkey.
Okay. I did see that one. So it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. The timing this month, I guess, has been
okay. Yeah.
Thursday came early.
Yeah. I made it a point to record that broadcast and watch it at work.
Oh, yeah. Make people hungry. So I thought that was a great thing. Any kind of fun casserole or even a stuffing baked in a squash. Like I use the spaghetti squash as the dish. So that way when you got a scoop of the casserole, you also scoop down a little bit more and you got a little bit of vegetable along with it. It was kind of a nice touch. Another a fun side that I did was I took some of those small pumpkins you can get. The fit maybe the size of a child's basketball.
The small sugar pumpkins.
Yeah, and even some of the little smaller ones, and you cut the top off like you're gonna make a jack-o'-lantern, scoop out the seeds, and then fill it with cheesy stuff. I did some bread cubes and some different kinds of shredded cheeses and some bacon, and made like a party dip, bread dip, and then baked the whole thing in the pumpkin until it was hot and gooey. And then that travels really, that takes no time to put together. You throw it in the oven for like an hour or so, and then you can take it with you, wrap it in tin foil. It stays together. It's a great travel one for appetizer if you're going to
its own container.
And then you get there and you take the knife and you run it down the sides of the pumpkin and it pops open and you got
that looked really cool when you did that on air.
Yeah, I was happy that
I can imagine you going through the production of that now. Okay, let's hope this works. This works.
I'm like, it's always about me trying to coordinate with the cameraman. We don't do real full scripts or anything like that for Massabiles, but I'm gonna be like, hey, at this point, I am gonna be doing this right here, so let's try and
make sure you get a tight shot.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun to share that stuff.
Yeah, while we're on sides, Kathy usually has an abundance of a certain crop that
I know, and
that's
we didn't
popular.
plant it this year, and I'm so disappointed because we usually have the turnips.
Oh, my favorite crop.
Fresh turnips, I love them. We have the purple tops and we have the yellow, and this year we don't have them.
The yellows are
sad.
my undersung vegetable of North America. I truly enjoy a mashed rutabaga with either some maple syrup or some brown sugar and a little bit of butter.
Brown sugar is good. And the cool thing when we grow them, John, is that you can cut the darn things. You get them in the store and they're covered with that wax. I can't cut those suckers. For the life of me, they're horrible.
So John, when you cook a turnip, how do you keep it from going grainy?
It has a lot more to do with the turnip than the cooking method.
Turnip.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a overgrown, overripe turnip, it's going to have a grainier texture.
That's what it was.
And the
because
bigger
I'm pretty sure I cooked
it
properly last year.
The big ones tend to be more fibery.
Yeah. Kathy brought me, I think it was maybe a 10-pounder.
Yeah. So that's going to be
grainier. Okay. See, I thought I was cooking it wrong.
No,
so
the smaller ones are sweeter and they're not quite as fibrous.
So I like to go to the grocery store and pick up the ones that are about the size of a softball. or just a little bigger, because nobody in my family eats turnip but me. I'm the only one that really eats vegetables, and so I just take that softball size one with the wax on it, and I stab it with a fork all the way around. I wrap it in a paper towel and I microwave for 8 minutes, and it's
Never tried that.
fully cooked. You can kind of just eat it out of its own self with a spoon. Out of its skin
Good to
at
know.
that point. So a healthy vegetable, easy to cook in the microwave.
Microwaving. Go ahead.
And that cooking in the microwave steams it in its own nutrition. So you're really keeping as much of the nutrition in the vegetable as you can when you do things like that. So.
Microwaving is the only way I cook corn now.
I microwave corn.
I learned that when I was 18 working at the factory, bringing a ear of corn to work and throwing it in the microwave every day for lunch.
Yep.
right, and you just squeeze it out, and it desoaks it and everything. Oh. Yeah, I only learned that trick. Now I've cooked corn in the microwave before, but I've always then shucked it afterwards. And once I saw that trick where you just cut off a little bit of the end and you give it a little squeeze and it poops right out of the shell. There's no better way to cook corn on the cob than that now.
Oh, I don't know. My heart goes with the roasted corn. That's my
It dries out so much and gets tough. I mean, I want my corn to be juicy and pop in my mouth when I bite it. And when you roast it, you move that. What's that?
Yeah, you put it in the water first.
Well, yeah,
So
but-
it like steams. No, I love it. I love the smell of it.
Do you like it roasted to the point where it starts to turn black on the kernels?
Yep. Yep, I do.
Hmm.
Although
And I do that
one
a
year
lot when I'm putting it in a
we
dish,
were roasting corn out in the yard. We had when my kids were younger, we'd have big picnics, and I had it all out on the table. And then I turned to get the corn, and I forgot that it was right next to the fence, and the pony,
No.
Louie the pony, had
Lunch.
helped herself, to every piece of corn. She was happy.
Yeah, when Pete and I were down in Virginia, they brought us to the site on a bus, a motor coach, and for security reasons, the bus and everything had to be swept. All right, and NASA has their own dogs to check for everything, and the sergeant came on the bus before we were kicked off, and he says, "Now, if you have a lunch or a sandwich or anything with you, take that with you, leave everything else behind, because the dog will eat it."
The dog will eat your sandwich. I will thank you for it, but you won't have a sandwich.
You will not have a sandwich. Well, I didn't.
So
have
yeah,
any
well-behaved
corn.
dog. It's smelling for all types of stuff. But hey, if there's
Lunch
a
is
treat
lunch.
there, it's going to eat it.
Lunch is lunch.
9:46, quick break, and we're going to have to talk for a few minutes, and then we're already going to be wrapping it up.
Oh, my goodness.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
9:48 on the nose. We've got about 5 minutes or so left to talk about Thanksgiving.
Best sides.
So we started talking about sides. Do you want to?
How about low carb sides?
Low carb sides. Well,
That's tough, I know.
Yeah, right.
Green bean casserole.
How about asparagus? If you have somebody that wants to do low carbs, asparagus is fairly low carb.
Yeah, cabbage is also on the low carb side of vegetables. I mean, there's a few vegetables you can stick with.
What's the white one? That they're using the ricing now and all that stuff.
Cauliflower. Yeah.
And you can mash that instead
One of
of
my
mashed
favorite,
potatoes, right?
Yeah, and one of my favorite low carb vegetables I use in a lot of my dietary clients' food is the daikon radish. It's and you can get it at the one of the.
What's that taste like, though?
Nothing. That's the cool. It's got a mild radish flavor, but it's just a big white turnipy piece of vegetable. So
That's great texture.
Doesn't have. You can cook it and roast it and boil it and cube it and do whatever you shred it. They slice it thin and they pickle it. It's got a million different uses, but it can be a great filler vegetable. So a lot of times I'll do maybe 2 or 3 different kinds of fall squashes, like a buttercup and a butternut, or a buttercup and an acorn and pumpkin, and then I'll take some cubes of daikon radish and I'll mix all the cubes of it together and make a nice fall, like orangey and white vegetable medley. Another cool one that's also kind of low on the carbs, but not really, but very healthy, is the beets. Are great this time of year. Are putting the food. And
he wanted beets one day. He was all over the beets.
And what's cool,
and they were really good.
And if you add some red beets to that mixture I was just talking about, with a couple different oranges and the white and the beet, and you cook them all separately and mix them together, you get like reds and oranges and pinks and different shades where the reds and the oranges bled together, and you get this cool fall Thanksgiving vegetable you can put on the table. But that's just one of those arts and crafts tricks that I do.
Gravy. Do a proper roux or cheat with cornstarch?
I don't cheat with cornstarch, but I do cheat with Wondra, which is a brand name product, I guess. But it's a enhanced enriched flour product that has like barley flour and some more, so it doesn't clump when you add it in. It's meant to, you sift it over the top of your liquid and then stir it in, and sift it over top of your liquid and stir it in it, and you can kind of just add it that way without having to make a roux. So if you're gonna cheat, it's a great cheat.
That is a good cheat.
But
Wondra?
Now, do you have to cook it out like a traditional flour to get rid of the
No, because it's already been broken. That's the thing. It's different kinds of flours are broken down, so it doesn't taste floury as much when you make it. It's a grandmother's cheat that they've been using probably for 70 years. I'm guessing.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But you have to have a good sifter for that, though, right?
No, it's got a little like a shake top, and you just gently shake it over the top of the liquid until it makes a coating, and then you stir it in. And then if it's not thick enough after one time, then you do it again.
All the markets are going to be sold out of Wondra here in town.
Find that.
I'm going to have.
Grandma used to use it, but
good thing I work out of town. I'll have to hit the market over there in order to get some. I might do that instead of the cornstarch trick this year.
I don't like cornstarch. I don't even call it gravy at that point. It's because it's got that weird clearness to it. It's technically a velouté when you take stock and thicken it with cornstarch. It's a turkey velouté.
Well, I'm an Asian food fan,
gravy,
so I really
has some kind of flour in it. I think.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's the difference right there.
I don't mind doing a roux. It's not a big deal. It's only a couple extra minutes.
Yeah.
Stuffing the bird, evil or good?
Depends on how you're cooking it, no.
Right? There's so many questions. But I prefer to make a nice meat stuffing and cook it in the bird because I like the way that the sausage and meat flavors the bird, and I like the way that the bird flavors the meat. But I don't. But I spatchcock my turkey. I cut the backbone out, and I just wrap my back boneless turkey around my pile of stuffing when I throw it in the oven. And there's a trick. If you make that stuffing and it's warm, and you put it inside of your bird warm, and you cook the bird, now your bird is cooking from the inside and the outside at the same time. You cook the bird in about an hour less time.
And you don't have to worry about packing it in cheesecloth and everything else in order to extract it from the cavity. I'm pulling on Alton Brown here because he always considered stuffing to be evil, and then he came around a little bit. Well,
especially if you have the ability to remove some of the bones on the inside of it, the rib cage, because if you stuff it with all those bones in it and you go to take it out, sometimes you get bits and pieces of broken bones in your stuffing. You don't really want that, but if you can take those out first and then stuff it, that's a whole other bonus there too.
8:53. Geez, I had like 2 minutes. Feeding your family on Thursday, or are you doing something?
We're gonna eat something at some point.
Have you already had Thanksgiving like Jay? Jay's family gets together the weekend before in Maine.
Yeah. We usually do sometimes the weekend after. From all the years of working on Thanksgiving, we kind of get used to celebrating on other times. And this year we're gonna try and find something exciting to do as our small family unit. And I just don't know if I'm gonna go through the whole process of cooking. One kid wants ham, so we might do a ham and a small chicken or something like that.
Oh, all right.
Untraditional for the meals. It's nice to have the family together wherever you can. Sometimes going out is fun too. If I don't have to cook, I don't always complain.
Do you ever let your wife cook?
Yeah, she cooks a lot. She's a great cook. She For all those years,
I was wondering. You know?
For all those years I was in the restaurant, she had to feed my 3 boys. So
Right,
she always
but now
made
that
dinner,
you're
and
home-
I'd come home at 11 o'clock at night and eat all the leftovers all the time. So yeah, that was always good. She makes wholesome American food that the kids like to eat, and she's really good at it. What she really is good at though is baking. Yesterday she made white chocolate raspberry cookies that were absolutely delicious.
Now I'm hungry.
Somebody didn't bring any in for the rest of the class.
I was going to. The kids finished them all. Oh my goodness!
And now I'm going to have to end it all, not because I'm mean, but because I'm out of time. Chef John, thanks for coming in. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And if any of you have any last-minute Thanksgiving questions, you can always reach me at chefjohnslattery.com or on Facebook, too.
And take him up on that, because I've asked him questions in the past, and he's always helped out.
Yep.
The first bit of advice is usually free if you need me, and then even an in-home consultation is I do that for free. It's when you start needing me to do actual stuff that's where we
when you do actual work. Kathy, thanks for waking up today to come in.
That's okay.
I'm glad you're healthy, Kathy.
I am.
Next week, making a list. I'm not sure who's going to be in for that one. I'm still waiting to hear back from 2 people. We'll know the topic in a day or two. 2 weeks from now, John Beltrandy and a to-be-decided guest will be here. That'll be my government show. And then 3 weeks from now, Dan Paquette from the library. And then, of course, 1 more month away, we'll have Chef John back here. We will do that pie quiz.
Yeah, right before Christmas.
And we will get through it.
3.1.
Thanks to my listeners. Thanks to my viewing audience. For those on Channel 15 or WSFD-TV.org, that's all I have for you. I will catch you next week.
There's always something about coming back home. City lights approaching over the bridge and into this town. Traffic stalled but moving, where people tend to stay around. Familiar face with the same old crowd, where people still know your name. Who is who and who's to blame for silly pranks before high school games of hockey, football, baseball, still the same. Generations go on past and mornings go by way too fast. We don't need another time. We don't need another vision, because we're here and now in Westfield, Mass. Still moving forward, built to last. Held on values we hold true. Still raise high, red, white, and blue. We're proudly strong to get the job done. Make some time for a little fun. Come see what we've done today. Westfield is here to stay. Park to Little River Road, so many opportunities arose. Manufacture whips and arms and gear. The supply chain of the world starts here. Heroes rise when called upon. Police and fire and National Guard. Community will rise above to protect and serve in our backyard. We don't need another time. We don't need another vision. We're here now in Westfield, Mass. Still moving forward, built to last. Held on values we hold true. Still raise high, red, white, and blue. We're proudly strong to get the job done. Make some time for a little fun. Come see what we've done today. Westfield is here to stay. Small city life of Dickens days sprinkles holiday cheer among winter's rays. Streetlights glow with gaslight warmth to bring us back to charm. We hold tight to tradition here. Celebrate 350 kids coming home from victories, losses, and parts unknown. They don't need another time. They don't need another vision. They're coming home to Westfield, Mass, still moving forward, built to last. Held on values we hold true, still raise high, red, white, and blue. They're proud and strong, get the job done. Make some time for a little fun. Come see what they've done.